here we are in these physical bodies, and I finally understand what you talk about when you say pain means help is on the way.
Yeah.
Pain is our opportunity, and it's our whistle blowing and a coach pulling you over the sidelines to stop and take a beat and really feel into this gift we have of being human. This is our job, is to be the leading edge. We never promised, like we were talking about the other night, we never promised to come here without contrast. We promised to come here and mix it up.
And you promised to love the contrast.
Yes.
You promised to understand it and appreciate it, because without it, there couldn't be focus. You see, here's the thing that you want to say and we want to say. We are eternal. We never cease being. But we have options of how we feel as we are becoming. So if we never cease being, that means we're in a constant state of becoming. And if we're in a constant state of becoming, that means we're constantly moving from where we are. And if we are constantly moving from where we are and we are looking back, then we are not allowing the becoming. Once you get this premise, it is an easy one to understand. Then you can apply it to everything. So if there is no ending to any of our becoming, if there's no ending to your becoming, and the contrast promotes your becoming, doesn't it sort of kind of feel like you want to embrace all of the basis of that becoming rather than judge it or worry about it? Doesn't it feel like going with the flow of the state of becoming is a good idea?
Yes. And we're eternally becoming because our inner being is always focused forward, right?
Let's clean that up a little bit. We are eternally becoming because we cannot cease to be. We are eternally becoming because in our state of beingness, we are always surrounded by contrast, which causes us to constantly ask. And when we ask, it is always given. We are in a constant state of becoming because law of attraction is responding to who we are, and who we dominantly are is pure positive energy that is presenting itself in more and more ways. So what sometimes people believe, which is there is a good force and a bad force, there is wanted and unwanted, and law of attraction is responding equally to them, that isn't the way that it is. Well-being is so dominant, and you all have to work really hard to get in the way of that well-being. And you get so practiced at getting in the way of that well-being that you forget that well-being is the natural way. And then it takes years and so many books for us to convince you that well-being is what is natural, and that feeling good is what really is, and that anything less than that is something a little wonky in this moment, which is necessary for you to identify that you want the other.
On the second day, you asked, why are humans so focused on what is? And I think a lot of it is that we want to know that we're okay. We want to know that we're in the exact place that we should be at this exact moment. And from the time we were very little...
That's part of it, but let's not get carried away in that justification. Because what
it's unnecessary anyway, right?
It isn't necessary, and it's not even true, really. What it is you are vibrational interpreters, and you came to create in a manifested form, and that really rings your bells. You so want to see and hear and smell and taste and touch. You're over the moon about that, because that's the leading edge, and you are leading edge creators, and you want to be out here on the leading edge. So as soon as you create stuff, you look at it. You look at it and you talk about it and you smell it and you feel it and you revel in the reality of it to your detriment. So we're trying to talk you in to being more vibrational beings than interpreters of vibration. We want you to be the vibration, not be the describer of the vibration. We want you to sense rather than need to describe. And you're right, in your description, you want to compare what you're seeing and you want to defend what you're seeing and so on. But it's interesting, isn't it, that the very important nature of your being, which is physical, see it, hear it, smell it, taste and touch it, is what makes you want to look back at what you've seen and heard and smelled and tasted and touched. You want to be so involved in what you have created because from your point of view, you feel like you've created so much that your attention goes to what you've created, and your inner being knows that it's what's being created that you really want to turn your attention to. We're going to get there to where you can hear it. What feels more real to you? Looking in your closet at the clothes that you brought with you, or dreaming about something that you'll find in a department store when you get home? What's more real? What's more real? Looking in the mirror at the way your body is, or acknowledging the way your body feels, or dreaming about the improvements that are around the corner? What's more real? All that's happening is that what you've already manifested feels more real to you, and therefore it gets more of your attention just because it feels more real, because you've lost sight of the true nature of your reality. You forget that you're a vibrational being in the state of vibrating. We left you somewhere there. Those thoughts are sort of hard to wrap your thoughts around.
It's so good. It's so good. And it's the most important because we are feeling sentient beings. So the creation.
You are creators who have intended to create stuff, but you got so excited about the stuff, you forgot to be excited about the creation of the stuff. So you're more excited about the creation than you are about the creating. And we continue to want you to feel your inner being's enthusiasm for the becoming, and you're more interested in the having become, which goes back to what you were just attempting to describe before we cut you off. You want to justify it and talk about it and compare it to others and measure it and things that are looking back, not forward.
If you wouldn't mind, talk just a little bit about savoring what is in the now and really appreciating it and just milking that.
Well, we think that's a nice thing, but even savoring in the now sort of holds you there a little bit. That's why we want you to segment intend.
Because it's already history.
What is old news. It's like gum that you've chewed the flavor out of.
So is there a fine line between this world that we live in and really taking a moment of appreciation just to see what we've manifested and the now of our creation, which is really thinking about the future?
Really a fine line, and that's the point. That is the point. How can I have been all of this and be this without holding myself right now because I'm so in love with seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching what is? Because you can get so good at looking at what is and explaining what is, this is where you started to go earlier, and defending what is and comparing what is, that you don't go where your inner being is, because your inner being isn't looking at what is. Your inner being has already acknowledged what is and adores what is and embraces what is, but your inner being is past looking at the manifestations of what is and is looking on the energy of where you're going. It's the difference really between being in your vehicle and driving down the road and wanting your windshield to be in the floorboard so that you can watch what is. Your inner being is looking out ahead. You want to watch what is.
And you can still feel good in the car. And that fulcrum, that tipping point of satisfied, unsatisfied.
So how can you be what is and look forward? That's the point. How can you be who you are? Well, how can you not be who you are? We're not asking you to be something other than who you are. We're just asking you who you are to look ahead. That's all. We're just asking you to segment intend, to look ahead, to stop looking back, and therefore feel no need to defend to anyone where you are or where you have been. Think about it. Let's say that you meet someone new, doesn't matter where, on an airplane, in a restaurant, at a bar, on a beach. You meet someone somewhere, and you want to have a conversation with them, and you want to tell them where you're going, how you feel. So you want to say things like, life feels so good to me, and I feel so eager about life, and I love this planet, and I love the opportunities that are available to me, and I love travel. I love getting out and having new experiences with new people. So feel the harmony and the alignment of that conversation, did you? now talk to them like most people talk to each other. I grew up in Kansas. I lived there for a while, didn't like the weather much. Then later I moved, and my dad was such and such, and so I'm kind of like an army brat. And now I live, and I do, and I own. Can you feel maybe the truth and accuracy of it, but can you feel the difference in where you were going and what you're now doing? Did you feel the difference in that?
Yes.
If you can feel that difference, that's really the whole point that we're wanting to make. Here's what we want you to hear. Everything that you feel, don't leave, because we're going to give you the most important thing right now. It'll be really short. Here's the most important thing that we really want you to get this. So you're in a constant state of becoming, and you can't stop being in a constant state of becoming. And your inner being has lived with you as you've been in a constant state of becoming, and has always been looking forward with you. The state of becoming is what being alive is, and the state of having become is not what being alive is. It's what being alive was, but the state of becoming is what being alive is. Your inner being has a point of view about everything, because your inner being has been right up to speed with you the whole time, and you've been acknowledging by what you're living what you prefer next, and your inner being focuses there. And so the state of becoming is what life is. The state of having become is what life was. If you can understand what present tense means, that will automatically cause you to be connected to the larger part of you that is the true isness of who you are. You are an extension of source energy, but the source energy is who you are. And that dominant part of who you are will always be the dominant part of who you are. But who you are in your physical form, you allow yourself to separate yourself from who you are, and then you don't understand who you are, and then you start thinking that who your inner being is different than who you are. There's a sort of implied separation that humans accomplish that never feels good to you when you find it. And so right from the beginning of our conversations with you, we've been talking to you about letting your brain, letting your mind be a mechanism by which you focus and accomplish a blending of perspectives, so that who you are in your physical form and who you are as non-physical energy is one and the same. And in the moments that you are accomplishing that, you are at your most joyful, and in the moments that you are not accomplishing that, you are feeling diminished in some way. Most people make most of their comparisons about life and their statements about what life is from a place of not being consciously aware of that blending. Even as we talk to you about your inner being, it feels to you like your inner being is something separate from you. Your inner being is not separate from you. And it's only when you attempt to make your inner being someone who is separate from you that you then feel less alive, or less enlivened, or less in control, or less powerful.